welcome to the Horrific Podcast. Daniel normally does this intro. When he gets back to town, I'll have him redo it for us. I'm just a placeholder, basically. This is season 12 of the Horrific Podcast. In this episode, we kind of talk about like how we record. It's very basic, but we also talk about what we're going to be doing for the upcoming season 12. As soon as Daniel gets back to the States, I'm going to have him re-record this because it's way better than what I can do. But we really do appreciate you all listening. Make sure you stick around. Thanks for everything you guys do.
In case anyone was worried, we're back.
Bet we scared you fools.
We actually didn't leave. We just did that thing where we end one season and then immediately start another season afterwards. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I like new beginnings.
It's been a long week.
Yeah, exactly.
Possibly week in 2 or 3 days, pending who's posting. Yeah,
right. But yeah, so season 11 is dead and gone and buried. And I think, as we discussed last time, we both really, really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I also feel like it was maybe a little bit more for us than it was for the listeners, in that we were feeling like we needed a little bit of a reset. We needed to make things fresh and exciting again. And so it was fun, and I liked it, and we've gotten really good feedback on it. But this season, it's going to be a little shorter, and it's going to be a little more focused on the fans.
I like it. It's about you guys, not us.
Well, maybe more catering to the people that listen, or maybe more opening the door a little bit to give them more behind the scenes information and to kind of take into account how we work. And I guess to start this off, we thought in this episode we would do a super quick discussion about what our process looks like when we make these episodes every week, mm-hmm. and then talk about what we're going to be talking about in season 12.
Brilliant, my man.
So how does an average recording session for us begin, would you say?
So how does it? So normally, are you talking about the day of? I'll talk about day of. So normally we scheduled the date and we're like, hey, when do you want to record? And then you're like, I'm open these days. I'm like, cool, just let me know, or vice versa. We're usually really flexible with each other. That's it. Just kidding. And so then we start, so we call each other, but we always kind of chat. And I use the chat to warm my mouth up, because sometimes I don't talk and I literally can feel my cheeks not working. I
feel like we do much better when we talk for a while beforehand.
Yeah. We get that's the whole thing, that's why we're doing this. I mean, that's what we've been saying from week 1. Yeah. You're way away from here and we get to still hang out. And so we do that and we kind of touch up, and then we'll, occasionally touch base on like what we're going to talk about. But for the most part, like, we don't talk about, if we watch a movie, we don't talk about it until the podcast. We try not to, at least. I mean, if we do, then it's like, oh shit, like this is good, or this, I don't think we've ever done it for a really bad one, actually. Maybe. Yeah. But, anyway, so we try not to, we don't talk to each other about it because we want to know, like, the opinions. So, like, if you guys are listening and you're like, gosh, they're in cahoots, we're really not. Like, we know what we're doing, the movie we're going to do, but that's about it. And, and so generally during the podcast while recording, I ramble and then you sum it up very well because you know my language.
Translator.
Yes. And then after it's done, we're like, nice. Early years, it would have been nice. So what do we want to do next week? Now that we're getting older, we plan this stuff out better. It's only taken us like 5 years.
Yeah.
But hey, it's still great.
But yeah, we had kind of played around with different recording stuff too. And where we landed was Skype because it's free, and then a cheap tool called Call Recorder made by a company named Ecamm.
Yeah.
And I don't love it because it's hard to keep updated all the time. but it generally works reliably, so that's good.
I think the biggest thing with like Ecamm call recorder was when we could split tracks.
Yeah.
Like once we knew, like, so when we export tracks from Ecamm, we can export split tracks, and the reason for that is like if I have a coughing fit while you're talking or whatever, then we can just cut that piece out and we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, like if there's noise on your side while I'm talking, we can just like cut it out of your track, and if, vice versa.
Yeah.
It's nice. We can also adjust the volume on the tracks independently. So like if, for some reason yours is coming through like not as loud, we can turn it up.
Which is what we
nice.
had like 2 or 3 seasons ago. It was like, I couldn't figure this out.
Yeah.
But it's back and better.
Yeah.
So yeah, we record with Skype, and honestly, like besides the first couple years, or maybe first year or so, we haven't really had too many issues with Skype. Like we had a lot initially too.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was just because that crappy apartment that I was recording from didn't get great internet coverage.
I was also thinking 100%, but I was also thinking with COVID ramping up and people using Skype a lot, that maybe they were able to lock some of this stuff down, because like even being plugged in directly for both of us, we still had network issues. But
you're just saying they had to get better.
They had to, if they wanted to keep up. But we use those two, and since I've started like recording, the only real issues I have with call recorders is just that it doesn't open up always. Like you have to like close Skype out and try again, but it's not a huge deal. Yeah.
So we talk, we record the conversation, and then we try to be the first person to guilt trip the other person into doing the editing for the week, because it sucks.
Yeah.
We have like a template in GarageBand, and it has like the intro and outro stuff on it already, and then like 2 tracks where we drop in like our main audio. And then we have to listen to the entire thing over again and listen to all the embarrassing stuff that we say. Because, like, if you've ever just sat and listened to a recording of yourself talking for 30 minutes, you, I'm sure, would be equally horrified. Yeah. It's terrible. I am such an awkward person. And when I just have to sit and listen and I can't, like, ask follow-up questions or say, like, come on, bro, move on, it's terrible and it's torture. Yeah. So I would say that on average, I cut out a lot of my own talking every time we do an episode.
Yeah. So you guys would know who edits, because I do the same for me as well. Because yet again, you hear your voice recorded, it doesn't sound anything like what you think it does, and we're used to it by now. But yeah, that's been the editing part's probably the least favorite of it, and it's not for any other reason than you just gotta listen to yourself talk about something.
It does make me laugh a lot of times, though, because sometimes I'll be doing it a couple weeks after the fact, because we like to get ahead, and then like you'll say something that just cracks me up because I totally forgot about it, and that's always nice. It's like we're hanging out again.
Yeah, I think it caught me. The last one I did, I think that was when I said like they're the type of people who laughs at commercials, and like I don't know if I left that in or not, but I definitely cracked up about it. I was like, oh shoot. Generally, that's also what we have to cut out, is like if I just lose it or go like I get off topic a lot. But
it's like anything that would get us fired generally we'll cut out. Most other stuff we'll leave in.
Most of the stuff is mine. Not always, but most of it. But
then once we get through that, we export it and then upload it to a site called Libsyn. And Libsyn is where we can upload like the artwork and the media file and all the description and everything, and then it pushes that out to all the different like distribution avenues. So different podcasts, networks, the iTunes library,
Spotify,
YouTube, like all
Deezer,
of it. Yeah. So it's kind of one spot that just handles making it available in all of those different places, and it's relatively cheap.
Yeah.
It gives a lot of storage, which is the nice thing, and you only get capped on how much you upload per month. not on like the total amount. So like all of our episodes are just out there forever, and we don't have to pay any extra for that.
Yeah, and the thing too is like with audio, it doesn't have to be like highest quality, which always makes it big files.
Yeah.
Like it could be low quality, makes it smaller. Because I think you could start an account on Libsyn for like $5 a month or something, like for their first. You don't get to see like all your statistics and stuff, but don't believe them. Like I think we got touch base on that last week, but you know, just if they try to make it seem like there's a lot, just wait a couple months and see if it's still there.
Yeah. So speaking of the statistics, one thing we were looking at and bringing this full circle to our discussion about making this season more tailored to the fans, you can see where your most listens come from.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of consistently, we've had sort of a top 10 list of locations where we get the most downloads, which are all in the United States, which isn't really super surprising because that's where we're located. Yep. And we don't do any advertising.
Zero.
But we decided to do a horror movie from each of those 10 states as part of season 12 while we work on what is going to be a pretty wild season 13.
Yeah. So our main thought, and like what we were saying in the last episode, was like, hey, we're gonna like use season 12 as like obviously like this is something we're still excited about. It's gonna be movies. It's gonna kind of tie in with you guys, but it's also to give us a little bit of time to work on the season 12 idea. Kind of going back to what I was initially saying, where we're getting better prepared. I noticed when we were better prepared for season 11, like I just thoroughly enjoyed it, you know, and both you and I like to know where we're going.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things too. So, but when we get to see the downloads, you know, by far United States and then Sweden, oddly enough, shout out to the Swedes.
Yeah.
Is that bad to say?
No.
They're way better than South Dakota.
Yeah. South Dakota's not on the list, as I'm sure everyone
Zero
guessed.
downloads.
Yeah. But we will be taking a tour through Florida, Texas, Massachusetts, California, Colorado, Arkansas, New York, Georgia, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So over the next 10 episodes, if you are someone from one of those states who has been one of the listeners who has helped boost our numbers from there, you will be receiving an episode reviewing a movie either set in or made in your home state.
Yep.
And we hope that you find that absolutely horrific.
Because we know where you live.
And that's it for today's episode. If you've listened this far, then thank you, and we hope you've enjoyed it. We're always looking for new ideas, so if you have any questions, comments, or movie suggestions, please send us an email at thehorrificpod@gmail.com, or feel free to comment on or message our Facebook page. Just search for The Horrific Podcast. Thanks for listening.